Hey, yo. Happy Friday, everybody. All right. My stomach's been a little upset. I read Greek yogurt is supposed to be good for it, so I don't really even like yogurt. But hey, apparently, according to the internet, what I needed was some probiotics in my life. How's everyone week, man? We made it. It's been a strange one. Here in the States, it's been a strange couple days, but we made it. We're in one piece still so far. Yeah. I been doing a little bit of studying. Oh man. Sorry, I'm almost done. I should have maybe waited one additional minute. Okay. We are done. I was up a little late because there was a work virtual get together. So I figured I'd do a live stream. Not quite yet ready for bed. Hey baby girl, I see you eyeing me. She's like, I want to chew on that microphone, I think is what she's thinking. She's eyeing me for something though. Actually, you know what it probably is whenever I go and get a glass of water around this time of night, I'm usually in bed. So she's probably wondering, like, yo, what's the deal, homie? Why aren't we going night night? You know? Oh man. So whew. Seriously gross, man. Who likes I don't like yogurt at all. It's been kind of cold, which has been kind of nice, but change of pace lately. So I actually put out 2 YouTube videos this week, believe it or not. For those of you who've been following the YouTube channel a little bit, that was interesting. I haven't done some YouTube videos in a short minute, so that was kind of cool. It's been a while since I've done anything YouTube video related, so I thought the console log thing was cool. If you guys didn't see it, basically a custom console log, a custom console log that I put on my portfolio site. I wish I could remember. I saw someone share an article in Code Tech and Caffeine in the Facebook group. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. What could I do with that? And I was like, I could probably just put it in my console on my portfolio page. I was like, that's perfect. But yeah, so I did. And I made a video about it in 10 minutes. But I keep telling myself I want to do more and more with my portfolio, but just haven't got around to it. I don't really need to, but it's just like it seems kind of cool. It seems like a cool thing to have, like nice portfolio. You never know. Never mind, just saw the new video. What was the other thing? Yeah, I don't know. There's not like a lot of little projects that I like doing lately. Oh, you want to know something cool that's happening? Is I finally have been getting around to adding unit tests to the 100 algorithm challenge. I'm about a third of the way through, so I set it up. The hard part was adding jest and types, adding jest to be compatible with TypeScript, and now it's just like monotonous work of just going through and adding 100 unit test files. So for those of you guys who are are interested in the 100 algorithm challenge, I'll probably finish it this weekend. It depends. I got to wrap up the introduction to unit testing course for Scrimba, and then I'm doing a little bit of promotion for the clean code course. But all I have to do is go through add all the console log file examples. But now there'll be unit testing in that course, which will be kind of cool. So like that'll be a more interactive experience for when you get it done. So I'll add a couple of videos to that, and I'll probably do a video talking about that. So that was something I was requested. Um, but yeah, and I don't know if anyone's been following Bitcoin, but Bitcoin price has been wild. At 40 grand right now. In the last 5 days, it went up from like 32 to 40. In the last month, it went up from 18.5 to 40. This shit's going up like it's Tesla right now. Um, yeah. And then what was it? Charles Schwab said they think it's going to go up to 160 by the end of the year. It's wildness. But it is what it is. It's definitely a wild ride no matter what you're trying to do, man. I thought about getting into that back when it was really blowing up, and then it crashed, and that changed everything. Um, but it'll be interesting to see how. I think the general consensus is that cryptocurrency will play some aspect of our future, but what that is and why. Oh, man. Yeah, man. It's a strange world we live in. But yeah, I've been feeling a little under the weather, man. Do you read Vitalik Buterin's blog? No, I don't read a lot of blogs unless I randomly someone shares it. I just don't have time. Especially right now, I've started dating someone rather regularly. Um, and it's going really well, oddly enough. it's we're only 8 minutes in. We're talking about dating life, but yeah. Normally I might be interested in it, but like right now, man, my energy is damn, this guy looks like. So I just googled this guy's. There's certain people you look at him and you're like, dude, this guy looks like he's legit. uh, One of the co-founders of Ethereum. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. No, I've read his blog though. Honestly, I don't really follow cryptocurrency too much. I have a little, and it keeps going up. And so it's, um, I don't really. I don't know. I told myself if there's ever a point where I could pay my house off with my other investments, that I'll cash my investments off and pay my house off. That's like the point where I won't get greedy. So that's the point where I take whatever gains, and I'm even if it goes to the moon after that, you just gotta be happy. The quadratic voting white paper. All right, I'll make a note here. Quadratic voting white. Good morning to our Indian brothers and sisters out there. Happy Friday. Although it's probably Saturday for you, right? He's just laying down. Don't make it weird. Baby girl. What are you doing, baby girl? Just showing the goods on camera. There you go, baby girl. Hey, yeah, man, my stomach's been weird all day. Hopefully this probiotic stuff helps. I think I'm gonna shave. This is getting to the length where I usually shave it. Yeah, man. What is this? So I'm looking on GitHub, and there's something called NGX progress bar, and I'm thinking to myself like, what? Like, how hard could it be to do a progress bar? Like, like why do you need a package to do a progress bar? Oh my god, man. Jesus. This is the shit that drives me nuts, man. Cuz like you know, like a good example of a component like that you would use, a good example, a rich text editor. But a progress bar, come on, man. Do I read books and listen to audiobooks? I don't really listen to audiobooks. I do read books. I'm a big reader. Thoughts on consulting software companies? I think that's where a lot of people start. I have people who've worked at them, and they generally say the same thing. Money's good, benefits are good. If you go to some of the good ones, you're probably going to work on projects you don't want to work on. So nice massage chair. Thanks, man. How do you address gaps in your CV? I've worked for many garbage employers over the years. Some I only stayed for 6 months. I mean, gaps in only working at a place for only work at a place for 6 months is two different things. If you have a gap, just explain the gap. Something happened, and this is what I did in the meantime, and I'm a better developer because of it. If you stayed at a place for 6 months, be honest. Like, hey, it was a toxic workplace, and I moved on. Any good audiobooks for financial literacy? So I've read a couple financial books. A good one to start is what do you call that thing? The Total Money Makeover, Basic Fundamental of Finance. If you've never done that. From there, Retired Inspired is another good one. So once you like pay off all your debt, then you just start bumping up retirement, all that sort of stuff. Listen to the podcast with you and Eric about marketing, good information. Looking forward to more great content in the future. Yeah, man. So 11 more weeks. A new episode every Monday. So look forward to season 3, baby. Yeah. People hating CSS not only spend time or effort and ignoring the basics. Boom, anything is a component from GitHub. Yeah. But like it's a progress bar. It's literally a line that goes left and it goes right. It goes left and it goes right. It's I don't know, man. Like, but this is what I talk about. I harp about of like why, like, if you are a skilled front end engineer, you can do very well, because like most people who work in the front end are back end engineers. Is what I've realized, and they go and they not all, but most, they go and they instead they just, hey, I need a progress bar. Boom, NGRX progress bar. What questions are you asked for your technical interview with Amazon? I can't do that, man. They, the NDAs and stuff. Come on, can't answer those questions. What do you think about Java Spring Boot? I haven't used it. Shit just cracks me up, man. It really does. Progress bar. It shouldn't be. It's sad. It's not even funny, dude. And it's not like, by the way, it's not like, oh, hey, this isn't the guy didn't put time in. So I'm looking at the documentation, the thing. It's all good, dude. It's got 20 different inputs and like it does a whole bunch of crap, right? But yeah, come on, man. Oh man. Shout out to Muraf Solsley and his NGX progress bar. Have any degreed coders started a conspiracy theory that Dylan works for Amazon but is a janitor and not a developer? That's a real conspiracy right there. What was that? Who's that troll? Remember the trolley guy a couple episodes back that I banned? He was like, hey, people say, they say that you're not really a developer. You just do this to sell courses. It's like, you caught me, dog. Of all the shams I could run, the pretending to be a software engineer was the best one I could come up with. I feel like there's better shams that could have been ran. Oh man. Yeah. What a strange world we live in, man. I bet people do, though, or at least exaggerate their experience. What do you mean? Oh, you mean on YouTube? It's hard for me to exaggerate because I literally started my YouTube channel back when I was learning to code and just throwing shit out there. So like, you guys have just been along for the ride the whole time. But I honestly think if I clickbaited more, I could probably get more views and things like that. Is it possible to just live on money from making YouTube dev courses? Yeah, sure. I mean, not the type of money I'm making. Like, in a good month, I make like, right now it's like $800. from that, I probably bring in between Udemy, Scrimba, YouTube, affiliate links around $2,000 a month. That's probably pretty close. So around $2,000 a month, and then on top of that, there's like one-offs, mentoring, paid sponsorships, sponsored videos, and so like I'm probably making like 40 grand a year on side projects. But I also don't have a huge channel, and I don't get a lot of views. I remember Joshua Fluke was sharing some of his stats on his YouTube channel. He's making like 15 grand a month in ad revenue, and God knows what else. I don't know if he's still making that money, but yeah, you can make. I mean, they can make. You can make decent money. How much should I charge for mentoring? I was charging 150 an hour, but I might be bumping it up pretty soon. So. But yeah, I mean, you can live on it. Is it hard? Yeah, it's hard to make any money on the internet. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I probably Bitcoin. Hey, to the moon, son, to the moon. Take a course and just reteach it. I think for the most part, it's pretty apparent when someone does that. The truth of the matter is, most courses are very basic. You know, they're on stuff that 10 other people have taught, right? Like the courses I'm interested in making are more going to help you land jobs a little higher level. Like that's why I did the clean code course with Scrimba. That's why I did the unit testing course. I think the next thing I want to do with them is the solid principles, some design principles. Those are the things that I think I want to do, and because I want to get better at those. And I think those are things that people are lacking in. I don't think there's a lot of great content for mid and senior level engineers. For junior dev, would you say a high volume of small to medium projects are better than 1-2 larger apps for your portfolio? Honestly, one app, it just depends on what it is you're trying to get across, right? Like if you're trying to get a React job and your one app is in React and it's super impressive, that's all that matters, especially if you launched it. Like I think where a lot of people suffer is they just do these apps, like the high volume of small to medium projects are like shit that you can go and watch a YouTube video on or do a Udemy course on. That's not impressive. What's impressive is you built something from scratch and launched something. That's impressive. Hey Dylan, I just want a big thanks. Your YouTube videos are really motivating me to push through learning software dev. Now I'm 3 months into my probation period and love it more every day. Good for you, man. Good for you. I remember interviewing with Microsoft a couple years back, and I didn't get the job, obviously, but the guy asked me like, "Why do you want to work at Microsoft?" And and it's like, I want to get better, I want to learn, but I also said, before I was working in development, I was delivering pizzas, and I'm a college dropout, and like I'm self-taught, and I've sort of been on this journey where I've shared it, and whoever has take part in it. But I want to, part of the cool thing about working, at that time it was Microsoft, now it's Amazon, right? Is that like I can show people like, hey, you can do it if you put the time, effort, and energy in. And you just keep doing one step forward every day. Would rebuilding or cloning something big from scratch count as an impressive hit? It wouldn't for me, but somebody might be impressed by it. By launch, do you mean active users or just a polished live demo? Like build something that people are going to use. It doesn't have to get a lot of traffic, but How often does John Sonmez call me for workout advice? I haven't been staying up to date with John. I hear he keeps getting himself in trouble. I used free resources. I was too cheap back in the day. I don't recommend it. I should have probably bought some Udemy courses if I'm to be honest with you, but I cheaped out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, you could make I mean, my buddy Matt was making like, 6 figures off YouTube and doing affiliate links and courses, all that sort of stuff. And now he does a shoe company and still makes money off all this stuff. So like you can make a living off of YouTube and stuff like that. It's stressful. It's hard work like anything else. I think sometimes people think when you're talking about like getting a job in like working this as a job that it's not going to be as stressful as having an actual job. And I think you're actually setting yourself up for failure because what it takes learning to code is the hardest thing I ever had to do. Now imagine you're starting something from scratch. Yeah, here you go. So if you go to birchberry.com, I'm sharing for you. That's Matt's shoe company. But yeah, it's by far the hardest thing I've had to do in almost my entire life. So it's been worth it. But especially as you move up in salary, like do you know how hard it is to make 6 figures from a business and have health insurance? So because like sometimes people forget that it's not just about the total salary. It's not just about the total salary. It's about your salary, which you're going to get taxed on heavier being sort of a business and a contractor or consultant, if, however you do it. And then it's also about benefits, paid time off, health insurance, 401k, retirement. So, like, if you have a $120,000 salary, your work's probably paying $40,000 to $50,000 in benefits for you. So in my personal projects, how insane is InfoSec? I don't worry about that in my personal projects. Yeah, and it's just like anything else, like lower cost of living, especially you know what in our field also because the salaries can go so high. Let's say you're more interested in being a teacher, where the salary's low, right? So your level of success to get to a teacher salary is much lower, but the average senior software engineer makes 115, 120. And that's not like, oh, hey, you have to go work at like a FANG company. That's just standard like salary in the US anyhow. That's not an unheard of salary. It's like 100, 120. So like, am I wrong or does it seem a good number of devs have mental breakdowns from work? I had a mental breakdown, but it wasn't from work. I had a mental breakdown from overworking myself and a couple failed relationships and being unhealthy and all that sort of stuff. You know, I think so my thought about devs mental state is more so like statistically speaking, we're more introverted, which means we don't communicate well, and communication is key on anything. And that, if you've looked at any of the stats about like mental health, we're isolated, right? So like do you know who I spend more time with every day of the year? I talk more to these guys than anybody else. You know, That's not necessarily true, but my point is like we're isolated creatures, and you know it's it's just one of those items where like you have to actively work against it, and imposter syndrome's a thing, and stress is a thing, and not being able to cope with it. I've worked very hard in the last year to be able to cope with stressful situations, and it's I'm gonna grab a cup of water, and it's helped out a ton. But I do think a lot of devs don't. You have to remember also, like, statistically speaking, I think 70% of people say they hate their job, and like 10% like their job, and 20% are indifferent. So like that's just gonna be high for anybody. Let's see here. Would I date a developer? Yeah, in a heartbeat. I mean, who wouldn't want to date somebody that shares a passion of theirs? In software, I get the impression businesses hire for permanent positions that they can pay low and not pay contractors / consulting rates. I mean, it depends on where you work. Yeah, and also like here's the thing is I don't think a lot of us are comfortable saying no. The most powerful thing you can do is just say no. What's the worst thing that can happen? They could fire you if you're okay with that. But that's a scary thought. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, even software engineers. They will organizations typically will take out of you what they can. Like unhealthy ones will take everything they can from you until you have nothing left. And it's up to you to establish boundaries. It's up to you to no one's going to protect your mental health, generally speaking, like you should protect your mental health. But the problem is it's very hard for us to stick up for ourselves if you're not accustomed to it and setting those boundaries and things like that. So, getting fired is the worst thing though, if only because you usually need a reference for your next role. I don't think I've ever had a reference for my next role. I mean, there's been a handful of times where someone's called one of my references. I don't really want to talk about the Capitol riot. I tend so like. Here's the thing: stay away from hot button topics when you're on the internet. It's just not a good. It's just not a good thing. I'm very leery of devs that teach online that jump from one thing to the next every month. Something is new. I must learn according to them. Yeah. The front end hasn't been changing too much lately, but I think I've generally been telling people for like 2-3 years the same thing to study. Did you ever get trapped in tutorial purgatory hell when you were trying to code? Yeah. When I went to free code camp though, and I started building projects, I think that's when I really started escaping that. I get the feeling from watching Josh's vids that being a dev was never for him and went into it the wrong reasons. Yeah, I mean, it obviously wasn't for him, given everything that's there. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, um, I just, I don't think so. Like, I say this quite often that like you kind of have to work a lot of crappy jobs before you get your first good job. So like every year, this has been my experience. Every year, if you're aggressive with your career, you take what you can get for that first job, right? For the most part, you work that crappy job to get a less crappy job to get a slightly less crappier job, and then you get a good job, and then you get a great job. Like, but he just hit the crappy, 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 crappy because that's sort of where he was. He never got to the good stuff. And I can understand that. So what was your first job as a developer you felt like your life changed financially? God, there's probably been 3. When I moved out here and I got my first $62,000 salary, that was the first time I felt like I was making some real money. Like enough money where I could save, I could have my own place, I could, I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. Like that was it was it was one of those things where like that was where it was like some real like whew, like this is nice. This is like not being in poverty. Like that was the very first time. Like that was the time where like the money was like, yo, this is something changed. The next one was when I got a 40% raise going from 75 to like 105. And that was nice because then that made a lot. And this last one with Amazon, that was, I mean, no complaints. But that this is but yeah, so those are the 3 times that has happened. And each for various different reasons. It's not necessarily the amount. Obviously, the amount's important, but like what it allowed me to do. Right, the first one got me out of poverty. The second one allowed me to sort of ramp up pain. Like it gave me a cushion. And this next one is just like I'm. It's I'm investing a ton, and that's going to help me down the road. He states explicitly he only wanted it because he could work remote. I mean, it's not a bad reason to become a developer if you enjoy it. The problem is like you do anything long enough that you don't like, you can't do it any longer. Do you feel like it's better to generalize, or do you think specializing more, like you've had in front end heavy roles so far? I think it depends on your goal. I think generally speaking, generalizing is a good path, especially early on in your career. And I think as you go and you want to niche down and you want to hit those more specific roles that are gonna, I think maybe specializing is the way to go at that point. It kind of depends. Should I keep hackathon winning unfinished projects in my portfolio? I would. I think I still have a hackathon project I didn't win on my portfolio. It's called YourTube, where it was YouTube but based off geolocation. Should you aim to work at FANG big tech companies? Depends what your goal is, man. I can tell you in my 1 month, I have nothing but positive things to say. So 1 month is a honeymoon period. I've dated many of people for 1 month, and things were great. And then by month 2, things were horrible. The girl I've been dating now, it's been about a month, and things are fantastic. But you don't want to get too excited. So what I would say is it really depends what you want to do. I think it takes a level of dedication, at least in my case, to end up there and what it is you're trying to accomplish. So there's nothing wrong with working at like my last work wasn't a big, PwC is not it's a big 4 accounting, but it's not a big Big 4 consulting, but it's not a big tech, FANG company, but I'd recommend that place to anybody. It's a fantastic organization. I didn't leave because I hated it. I just left because there's another opportunity that was more attractive, and that happens. Um, do you have any recommendations when it comes to working on take-home projects for interviews? Whew, yeah, yeah. So if you get a take-home project, what I would recommend is refactoring your code. And this, I I don't know that this is acceptable. I'm iffy on this, but this is. I'll throw this out here, and I'll give you why I think it's okay. Getting a friend or colleague to code review it. Um, I want to say that's okay because you're taking time and energy and somebody else's time and energy, and you're doing it together. Now, once you code review it, the idea is that the reason I'd be okay with that is that you have said, hey, I care about the quality of my code, and this is what a final product would look like in the real world. I don't know that other people would agree with that stance, and I could understand that as well. But if you can have a friend that code reviews it, that'd be my suggestion. Think Josh would have been unhappy even at Fang? I don't know. I haven't watched any of Josh's videos since he went to his. He's still at his girl. I think he's still at his girl's parents' house. The last thing I remember is he moved into his girl's parents' house basement, if I remember correctly. Opinion on coding boot camps? I think they're a fantastic way to get jump started. I would say don't expect a coding boot camp to get you a job. Just like it's just one part of the learning process. If you put some of your clients' work in your portfolio, do you need to include the source code, the live site, demo site? What do you do? I usually include a link to the live site, or obviously your GitHub's going to be on your page as well. Can I spin freelance work as work experience? I don't see why not. If you didn't experience being broke / working low paying jobs, do you think you would still have the drive to work as hard as you do now? To be clear, I don't work nearly as hard as I used to. So just to be completely clear, that unhealthy level of work ethic broke me in quite a few ways, and I'm still recovering from it, to be quite honest. But yeah, I mean, everyone hits their rock bottom, and they have those moments where they say enough is enough, never again. And there are moments in my life that are like that. So. But like, I don't even know if they. So I think Bishop, where you're saying they push me to work harder. Yes, but is that a trauma? It was out of an unhealthiness, and it's something I struggle with today. I've been taking it easier and working less, but like, but it absolutely is. I mean, I've told you all the time about the last $5 on a burrito, having to choose between groceries and underwear, my mother bringing me groceries, and just feeling like a loser. Yeah. I'm a bit wary of the big four consulting firms. A friend of mine worked at a different one, was made to see a style consultant and tell him the right style and brand of suit, look to see clients. I worked at home in pajamas, so I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that. How much is the most interesting project you've been part of during your career? It was one of the shorter projects, so it's kind of hard to say it's interesting. But just getting introduced to progressive web apps, I thought that was a lot of fun. how much of your enjoyment is dependent on the novelty of the project you're working on? Little to none. It's more so about the people I work with. I've noticed people who have had everything given them usually have some level of entitlement or laziness. We all have a sense of entitlement. Some is just amplified more than others. I remember my father telling me when I was like 17, I was depressed and woe is me that, you know, uh, one of the few times I like cried in front of somebody, and he's like, "What are you so entitled about?" I I remember it. He's like, "You're entitled to nothing in this world." He's like, "If you want it, you gotta go get it." He's telling me this as I'm breaking down. There's a little bit of tough love. Um, it was a rough year, man. But yeah, um, it goes back to like what we were saying in the last thing about like what does money do for you, and like Dave Ramsey says, all money does is amplify whoever you already are, and maybe gives you the confidence to act more that way. So like if you're entitled and you think you're, hot shit, you're just gonna be louder and more entitled. You're gonna be louder about thinking so highly of yourself, and you're gonna have a larger sense of entitlement. Um, so I mean, really, I'm sure I have a big head on certain times and certain occasions. I think naturally we all do. It's especially hard when like when you have people on YouTube, even on a small channel like mine, where you might have 25, 50 people show up and ask for your opinion because it carries weight with them. You just have to be careful for it not to go to your head. You want to be humble. But now imagine that you're a larger YouTuber. They have thousands of people that are just think you're the best. It's it's concerning. So is being good at DOM manipulation with vanilla JavaScript something employers still expect? I mean, you can learn vanilla JavaScript sort of select it. It goes back to fundamentals. Like, do you understand that you can select something from the DOM, add classes, manipulate it, remove it from the DOM? Like, is that something you understand? Then yeah, I think. I mean, listen. I I started out with frameworks, and I had to go back and just review. But like, no, I don't. I don't think so. I don't know. It's interesting interviewing for different places because they value different things. But generally speaking, people don't even care if I've worked in the technologies that they've worked in because they're like, oh, if he's a good dev, he's a good dev. He'll learn. Um, like if someone transferred me to a purely vanilla JavaScript project and was like, "Hey, this is what you're doing," I'd be confused. I'd be like, I'd be like, why are we doing it this way? Um, but I could do it. It'd probably be a pain. And like people do, I interviewed with a very popular a very popular computer game. And the they interviewed me explicitly on that because that's what the technical architect there did. So I passed the interview and I decided I didn't want to relocate. Even though it was like a dream job at one time, I didn't want to relocate to where they were at. Do I live near my parents? No, my parents are 3,000 miles away, coast to coast. Man, your Scrimba course is amazing. Oh, which one? All of them, hopefully. No, thank you, man. Yeah. Glad you like it though. I work hard on those things, man. If I could go back in time, would I still purchase my home? Yeah. Yeah, man. My home value. I mean, I love having a house, man. Also, like in Florida, like I paid an extra like $500 a month to own a home versus what I was getting for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. So my home value is up 37 grand since I bought it. Not to mention the equity I've saved and whatnot. So I'm happy with my home. It's just, does it make it a little harder to leave? Yeah. But I mean, um, for $37,000, we figure it out, like, also just, I bought new, so I haven't had any issues. Everything's under warranty. What's a title that you want? Like the View guy? How about husband? Father. Those are my personal titles I'm on the hunt for. So what is a professional title that I want? So I'm gonna turn this foot massager. Dude, my mom got me this. Coding God, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. The thing about like those types of titles is they choose you. You don't choose them. No, my dog's not this. She's just tired. She's tired girl. My dev experience between Mac and Windows. Honestly, so I work on Windows and Mac, and I just set my Mac up to be work like Windows. What do you think about Linux? Just never taking the time. I don't know, man. I think Linux is a pipe dream. That's some hipster stuff. That's my true thought about Linux is like, I'm sure it makes sense somewhere, but like, God, you're trying hard. Like that's same thing I feel about what do people talk about? The what's that text editor that people love to like, the number one like Google thing is how to close out of it, or on Stack Overflow. It's yeah, Vim. Yeah, it's just like you're just trying hard. And you're trying hard in such a strange way. Yeah. Like, there's better uses of our time. So Linux and Vim are the same to me. Vim is good though. Listen, man. Teach their own. I haven't given it a fair shot, either one, to be honest. But that's my uneducated thought. I use Git Bash. That's my personal one, but it doesn't really matter what terminal you use. I mean, honestly, you're gonna probably do the same 10 commands in any terminal. The Vim key commands are pretty useful though. Sure, man. So useful, you can't even remember how to close out of the app. Do I need to bother with Linux? I never have. I've never even ran Linux. I still can't figure out how to get a Vim. So helpful. It's so helpful. It's like that meme of like using Vim saves you, 10 hours of work a year, but talking about Vim takes up 100. Or telling people how they need to use Vim takes up 100, right? So. But like, I mean, here's the thing: is like, I don't really think there's any difference between any of them. It's just I've used Windows for 30 years almost. Like I'm 33, so I've probably had a computer since I was like 7, so about 25 years. Yeah. So, should make a T-shirt while you're trying hard in such a strange way. I'm all for trying hard, but there's like, this is like the thing, and this is what I tell people is like, try hard in ways things that make sense. Like you don't need to go and learn Webpack super in depth. Like you don't go and learn a programming language or a framework, something in depth that way, where it's going to matter. When you've interviewed candidates in the past, would you say the average applicant met your standards? Were they senior devs who had no idea what they were doing? I've interviewed about 100 people and I've passed maybe 5. And I don't think I was. I don't think I was being unreasonable. I don't think I'm a particularly hard interviewer. I asked general front end questions. So usually I'm interviewing JavaScript devs. So mainly front end, but sometimes full stack. Ask about, what's a RESTful API, how might you configure one. Give them a scenario, ask them JavaScript questions. Typically, what's the difference between var, consulate? Can you talk to me about asynchronous code versus synchronous and how that works in JavaScript? I'd give them. This is an old employer, it's not my current one. I'm not interviewing anybody at Amazon right now. But I'd give them maybe an algorithm problem of reverse a string or a FizzBuzz type problem, and most can't do it, unfortunately. But yeah, I've passed maybe 5 out of 100. But what I do is I have a little sheet, a little paper. I just keep track of numbers and I average it out. So if I get through 10 questions and I give them a scale between 1 and 5. No, excuse me, not 1 and 5. 0 to 1 and half 0.5 being the like they kind of got it right. So like 1, you got it right. 0.5, you got it like maybe you were on the right path, and the 0, you didn't. And then I look and I see how well they did. And that way, like, I mean, there's certain things that like if you just mess up on, I can't pass you. Like, if you ace the technical questions, but you can't do FizzBuzz, I can't do it. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, I'm sorry. Do people really fail FizzBuzz? Yep. Guys, I know you think I'm kidding. I've asked people to do FizzBuzz, pretty much even a simpler form of FizzBuzz. And I've asked people to reverse a string. These are the type of questions I would ask, because if I ask anything harder, and nerves play into it as well. I don't want it. So like my goal is to get you hired, but I'm also going to work with you. So like you have to understand, when you're interviewing, nobody wants you to get that job more than the developer who's interviewing you. He doesn't want to do those interviews. He wants to go back to work. He wants his workload to decrease, not increase, right? So if you get the job, he stops interviewing, he can go back delivering features, and now his workload decreases. So the developers, when they're interviewing you, they want to give you the job. They really do. But they also want to make sure that they don't just hire somebody that's going to drag the team down. Everyone has to bring something unique and everyone has to bring good skills. So, you know, but yeah, I'm not going to sit up there. I don't give problems to people that I don't know the answers to, and two, I wouldn't be able to solve an interview on my own. So like, I give realistic problems. Like, if you realistically can't do FizzBuzz even with your nerves, then what are we supposed to do? Right? Like, and I get the nerves. I used to throw up before all my interviews. All of them. Especially when I first started, it was horrendous. Not anymore, thankfully, but so. Streaming platform better, Twitch or YouTube? Why don't you just do both? Use Restream. Yeah, man. But I mean, depending where you're in your career, your interview process is going to be very different, right? Like, those were like 1 hour interviews, 90-minute interviews. Now it's like I interview 5 to 8 hours for a role. But also, like, now benefits, money are so much higher and impact is so much greater that, like, yeah. I don't know that other industries have to deal with the technical interview, but at the same time, it's what allows a guy like me to succeed. So I can't complain too much. Like, we're in a merit-based industry, so like, however skilled you are, if you can get the interview and you can pass the test, there's a job for you, assuming that you are easy to work with and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, we did about an hour. I'm good, Mohammed. So, but yeah, it's about an hour. Sorry, our weekly live stream. If you're interested in my courses, link in the description below. Please subscribe, all that sort of stuff. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.